Ambassador Hannah Yoon had spent 2 years of her life believing in a lie. She stood in her small office on the space station Nexera Prime, her hands shaking as she read the stolen documents on her screen. The words blurred together, but their meaning was clear. The Galactic Council had never wanted peace with humanity. They had been planning something far worse from the very beginning. She read the document again, hoping she had made a mistake. She had not. The classified report carried the official seal of all 12 member species. It described Earth as Resource Zone 7 and outlined a detailed plan to remove all humans from their home planet. The Council would relocate them to mining colonies across the galaxy. Earth itself would be stripped of its metals, water, and everything else of value. The vote had been unanimous. Every species on the Council had agreed. Hannah closed her eyes and remembered her first day on this station. She had felt so proud. Humanity's first ambassador to the galaxy. She had shaken hands with Chancellor Vorik himself, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 arms. He had smiled at her and called humans the galaxy's newest friends. She understood that smile. It was the smile of a predator looking at prey. The documents had come from an anonymous source. A small data chip had appeared in her quarters with a simple note, "You deserve to know." Hannah suspected it was Delegate Marith, a quiet alien from the Nervian species who had always seemed uncomfortable during council meetings. But it did not matter who sent it. What mattered was what she did next. She packed her things that night. She told no one. She boarded the next transport ship back to Earth and did not look back. 3 weeks later, she stood before the United Earth Assembly. Every leader of every nation watched her on screens around the world. She played the documents for them. She showed them the maps of the mining colonies. She read aloud the section that described humans as physically strong but mentally simple, ideal for manual labor. The room was silent for a long time. Then the shouting began. Admiral Taeyon Park was not a man who shouted. He sat in the back of the assembly hall, his face calm and still. He was 60 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many battles. He had commanded Earth's small defense fleet for 15 years, always hoping he would never need to use it. Now he understood that hope had been foolish. When the shouting died down, he stood up. The room fell silent again. Everyone knew who he was. Everyone respected him. "We have 2 choices," he said. His voice was quiet but carried to every corner of the room. "We can beg for mercy. We can send our diplomats back and hope the Council changes its mind. We can negotiate." He paused and looked around the room. "Or we can show them what happens when you betray humanity." The vote was not even close. Earth chose silence. Within 1 week, every human diplomat was recalled from Council space. Every communication channel was shut down. Every trade agreement was canceled. The Council sent messages demanding an explanation. Earth did not respond. They sent threats. Earth did not respond. They sent ships to investigate. The ships found Earth's solar system transformed. Defense platforms surrounded every planet. New warships patrolled the borders. Warning beacons broadcast a simple message in every known language. "Turn back. You are not welcome here." High Chancellor Vorik received the news in his private chambers. He dismissed it with a wave of his 4 hands. "Let them have their tantrum," he said to his advisors. "They are children throwing toys. In a few months, they will come crawling back. They need our technology. They need our trade. They have no choice." Elder Oris, the oldest member of the Council, was not so sure. He had read the ancient histories. He knew stories of species that had been underestimated before, but he said nothing. Vorik did not like to be questioned. Back on Earth, Admiral Taeyon called a meeting with his most trusted officers. Captain Jin Wukong arrived first. He was young for his rank, but his mind was sharper than anyone Taeyon had ever met. Dr. Yuna Choi came next. The brilliant scientist who had been studying captured alien technology for years. Finally, Colonel Minho Lee entered, the commander of Earth's ground forces. A man who had grown up in the poorest district of Busan and fought his way to the top through pure determination. "We have maybe 2 years," Taeyon told them. "Maybe 3, if we are lucky. The Council will not wait forever. Eventually, they will come for us. Then we need to be ready, Jinwoo said. Yuna nodded. I have been studying their ships. Their technology is advanced, but it is not magic. We can learn from it. We can make it better. Minho cracked his knuckles. And I will train soldiers who will make them regret ever looking at our planet. Taeyeon looked at each of them. These were the people who would save humanity. He was certain of it. No more talking, he said. No more diplomacy. From this moment forward, we speak only through our actions. Let them wonder what we are doing. Let them fear what we are building. And when they finally come for us, let them learn the cost of their betrayal. On Nexera Prime, Ambassador Hannah's old office sat empty. Delegate Mirith walked past it sometimes and wondered if she had done the right thing by sending those documents. She had wanted to warn the humans. She had wanted to give them a chance to fight back. She had not expected them to go completely silent. None of the council had expected that. Humans were supposed to be desperate, weak, dependent on alien technology and trade. They were supposed to come back begging for a better deal. But the months passed and Earth remained silent. The warning beacons kept broadcasting. The defense platforms kept growing. And somewhere in the darkness of space, humanity was preparing for war. Chancellor Vorik stopped laughing about the situation after the first year. By the second year, he stopped sleeping well. Something was happening on Earth. Something was growing. And for the first time in his long life, he felt something he had never felt before. He felt afraid. 2 years of silence had passed and the Galactic Council was no longer calm. Every week brought new reports from the edge of human space. And every report was more troubling than the last. Scout ships sent to observe. Earth's solar system described things that should not have been possible. The humans had built a wall of defense platforms around their entire system. Massive stations floated in the darkness, bristling with weapons that council scientists could not identify. And the ships. There were so many ships now. Sleek, fast vessels that appeared on sensors for only a moment before vanishing again. This is impossible, Warlord Talvin said during a council meeting. He was a massive creature, covered in hard plates, the military commander of the hegemony forces. 2 years ago, humans had 40 ships. 40 small, outdated ships. Now our scouts count over 800, and those are only the ones they can see. Chancellor Vorik tapped his fingers on the table. He had not slept well in months. How are they building so fast? They do not have our resources. They do not have our technology. They have something else, Elder Aura said quietly. Everyone turned to look at the ancient alien. His skin was wrinkled and gray, his eyes clouded with age, but his mind was still sharp. They have fear. They have anger. And they have something we lost long ago. What is that? Vorik asked.
Trust.
Desperation, Horus replied. A desperate species will achieve things that comfortable species cannot imagine. On Earth, Dr. Yuna Choi had not slept more than 4 hours a night in 2 years. She did not mind. Sleep could wait. Survival could not. Her laboratory was hidden deep underground, protected by layers of rock and metal. Hundreds of scientists worked under her command, taking apart every piece of alien technology they had ever collected. They studied it. They learned from it. And then they made it better. The aliens use energy shields, Yuna explained to Admiral Taeyun during one of his visits. Very advanced. But they have a flaw. The shields need 3 seconds to adjust between different types of attacks. If you hit them with lasers, then missiles, then kinetic rounds, all within those 3 seconds, the shields cannot keep up. Taeyun nodded slowly. Can we build weapons that attack that fast? Yuna smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. We already have. I call them cascade cannons. One ship can fire 3 different weapon types in under 2 seconds. Their shields will be useless. Across the planet, Captain Jinwoo Kong was training the largest fleet humanity had ever built. New shipyards worked day and night, producing vessels designed from the ground up to fight alien warships. Jinwoo did not just copy alien designs. He improved them. Human ships were smaller, but faster. They could turn in ways that alien ships could not. And their crews were trained to think for themselves, to adapt, to change tactics in the middle of battle. The Council fleets fight like machines, Jinwoo told his officers. They follow patterns. They do what they are told. They do not improvise. We will not be machines. We will be water. We will flow around them, through them, and they will not know how to stop us. Colonel Minho Lee had his own preparations. He trained ground forces in every environment Earth could offer. Mountains, deserts, jungles, frozen wastelands. His soldiers learned to fight with anything they could find. They learned to disappear into terrain that alien sensors could not penetrate. They learned patience and precision. The aliens fight from space, Minho said to his troops. They drop bombs from orbit and think that is enough. They have not fought on the ground in centuries. They have forgotten what it means to look your enemy in the eye. We have not forgotten. We will never forget. On Nakara Prime, the Council tried again and again to contact Earth. They sent messages of peace. They sent messages of threat. They sent everything they could think of. Earth never replied. Delegate Mirith watched the growing panic with mixed feelings. She had sent the warning to Ambassador Hannah because she believed the Council's plan was wrong. But she had not expected this. She had not expected humans to become something that even Warlord Talvin feared. We should attack now, Talvin argued at another council meeting. Every day we wait, they grow stronger. If we strike now, we can still win. And if we cannot? Mirith asked. It was the first time she had spoken against him in public. Talvin glared at her. Then we learn what we are dealing with. Better to fight a battle we might lose than wait for a war we cannot win. Chancellor Vorik raised his hand for silence. He was thinner now, his silver skin dull with stress. We will not attack. Not yet. We will wait and watch. Humans are still young. They will make mistakes. When they do, we will be ready. But humans did not make mistakes. They waited in silence, building and training and preparing. And then, when 2 years had passed, they did something that shocked the entire galaxy. They attacked first. Admiral Taeon stood on the bridge of his flagship. The Unyielding. It was the largest ship humanity had ever built, but it was not meant to be impressive. It was meant to be effective. Everything about it was designed for one purpose: victory. The Varith system, Taeon said, pointing at the holographic map floating before him. Council intelligence shows they are building an invasion fleet there. 140 ships, almost ready to launch. Their target is Earth. Jinwoo studied the map. They think we do not know about it. They think many things about us, Taeon replied. They are wrong about all of them. He turned to face his officers. Jinwoo stood at his right hand. Yuna had come aboard to oversee the new weapons systems. Minho was commanding the Marine forces, ready to board any enemy ship that survived. 2 years ago, the Council decided our fate without asking us, Taeon said. They voted to destroy our world and enslave our people. They thought we would not find out. They thought we could not fight back. They thought we would beg for mercy. His eyes were cold and hard. Today, we show them how wrong they were. Today we do not negotiate. We do not warn. We do not ask for permission. Today, we simply act. The fleet moved out in perfect formation. 2,000 ships, carrying the hopes and fury of all humanity. They entered faster than light travel and vanished from human space. On Nexera Prime, the Council's sensors detected nothing unusual. Chancellor Vorik went to sleep that night, thinking everything was under control. He was wrong. The war had begun. The Varith system was supposed to be safe. It sat deep inside Council territory, protected by 3 patrol fleets and a network of early warning stations. The shipyards there had been building warships in secret for over a year. 140 vessels designed specifically to break through human defenses and reach Earth. In 3 more months, they would have been ready to launch. They never got those 3 months, Admiral. Taeon's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. 2,000 human ships appeared in perfect formation, their weapons already charging. The Council patrol ships did not even have time to send a warning before the first wave of missiles struck them. "All ships, begin attack pattern Delta," Tehan ordered calmly. His voice showed no emotion. He might have been ordering lunch. The human fleet moved like a living thing. Ships broke into smaller groups, each group targeting different parts of the shipyards. Cascade cannons fired in rapid bursts, hitting enemy shields with laser, missile, and kinetic attacks so fast that the shields could not adjust. Dr. Yuna Choi watched from the Unyielding's command center, her face lit by the glow of exploding enemy ships. "The weapons are working perfectly," she whispered. "Their shields are failing everywhere." Captain Jinwoo Kang commanded the forward assault group. His ships cut through the confused Council defenders like knives through paper. The aliens tried to form defensive lines, but Jinwoo's pilots were too fast, too unpredictable. They attacked from angles that should have been impossible. They retreated when the enemy expected them to advance. They advanced when the enemy expected them to retreat. "They fight like machines," Jinwoo muttered to himself. Watching an enemy cruiser try the same defensive move for the third time, did no one teach them to adapt? He gave the order. 3 of his ships flanked the cruiser and destroyed it in seconds. In the shipyards, Council workers ran for their lives. Escape pods launched in every direction. Human ships let them go. Taiyin had given strict orders: destroy the ships and stations, but do not target anyone who is trying to run. This was not about killing. This was about sending a message. The message was clear. Humanity could reach you anywhere. Humanity could strike without warning. And humanity would never forgive what the Council had planned. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Varoth shipyards were nothing but floating debris. All 140 invasion ships had been destroyed before they could even launch. The Council patrol fleets had been scattered, their survivors fleeing toward the nearest friendly system. Human losses were minimal. 12 ships damaged, 3 destroyed. Less than 500 casualties. Admiral Taeyon looked at the wreckage on his view screen and felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just a cold certainty that this was only the beginning. "Send the message," he said. A single transmission was broadcast on all Council frequencies. Every planet in the galaxy received it at the same moment. The message was short. "This is not negotiation. This is consequence." Then the human fleet turned and vanished back into faster-than-light travel. On Nexera Prime, Chancellor Vorik was woken from sleep by his terrified advisors. They showed him the reports from Varath. He did not believe them at first. Then he saw the images. The destroyed shipyards, the scattered patrol fleets, the human message playing on repeat. He whispered, "How did they know about Varath? How did they get past our defenses?" No one had answers. Warlord Talvon arrived at the Council chamber within the hour. His face was twisted with rage and something else. Something that looked very much like fear. "I will take the combined fleet," he declared. "Every ship we have. We will hunt these humans down and burn their planet to ash." "And if they defeat you?" Delegate Mirith asked quietly. Talvon turned on her with fury in his eyes. "They will not defeat me. They won a single surprise attack against undefended shipyards. Real war is different. I have fought 100 campaigns. These humans have never faced a true military force." Elder Aura spoke from his seat in the corner. "The humans at Varath fought with discipline and precision. Their weapons were advanced, perhaps more advanced than our own. Their tactics were creative and unpredictable. This was not luck, Warlord. This was the result of careful preparation. They have been waiting for this moment. They are ready for us." "Then I will teach them that readiness is not enough," Talvon growled. He took the combined fleet and set out to find the humans. He expected them to run. He expected to chase them across the galaxy. Wearing them down with superior numbers, he did not expect them to be waiting for him. The human fleet intercepted Talvon's forces in the empty space between star systems. Again, they appeared without warning. Again, their tactics were unpredictable. Talvon's ships outnumbered the humans 3-1. But numbers meant nothing when you could not hit your enemy. human ships danced around the larger council vessels. They targeted engines and weapon systems with surgical precision. They used their smaller size and greater speed to stay out of the enemy's firing arcs. And when Talvin finally thought he had them trapped, they simply disappeared, only to reappear behind his lines and attack from the rear. The battle lasted 2 days. Talvin lost 60% of his fleet. He retreated in disgrace, his flagship badly damaged, barely escaping with his life. When he returned to Nexera Prime, he did not speak for 3 days. When he finally addressed the council, his voice was hollow. "They are not what we thought," he said. "They are not children. They are not primitives. They are warriors. True warriors. And I do not know how to defeat them." Chancellor Vorik looked around the council chamber. For the first time, he saw fear on every face. The Galactic Council had ruled this region of space for 10,000 years. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war until now. On the Unyielding, Admiral Tyun received reports of Talvin's retreat. He allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction. The first battles were won. But he knew this was far from over. "The Council will not give up," he told his officers. "They cannot. If they lose to humans, their entire system falls apart. Every species they have conquered will rise up. Every ally will abandon them. They will fight to the end, because they have no choice. Then we will fight to the end as well," Ginwu said. Taeon looked at his young captain and saw the future of humanity in his eyes. Strong, determined, unafraid. "Yes," Taeon said quietly. "We will, and we will win." The Galactic Council had stood united for 10,000 years. It took humanity less than 6 months to break it apart. The cracks began small. Whispers in corridors. Secret meetings between delegates. Species that had always obeyed the Council suddenly asking uncomfortable questions. Why had they planned to enslave humanity? Why had they lied about it? What else had they lied about? 3 species made their move first. The Nervians, led by Delegate Mirith. The Hollow, a quiet people who had always hated violence. And the Sethi, who remembered what it felt like to be conquered and wanted no part in doing it to others. They sent secret messages to Earth, asking for peace. Admiral Taeon received their messages aboard the Unyielding. He read them carefully, then passed them to Ambassador Hannah Yoon, who had returned to active duty when the war began. "They want to negotiate," Hannah said. There was no anger in her voice anymore, only tiredness. "What do you think?" Taeon asked. Hannah considered the question for a long moment. "I think they are afraid. I think they see which way the wind is blowing. But I also think some of them, like Mirith, genuinely believe we deserve better than what the Council planned." "No," Hannah said firmly, "but we should listen." "There is a difference," Taeon agreed. He sent a response to the 3 species. Humanity would listen to their concerns but would make no promises and sign no treaties. Trust would have to be earned through actions, not words. On Nexera Prime, Chancellor Vorik learned of the secret communications and flew into a rage. He demanded the 3 species cut all contact with humanity immediately. The Nervians refused. The Hollow refused. The Sethi refused. "This is treason," Vorik shouted at the council chamber. "You are betraying the alliance that has protected you for millennia." Delegate Mirith stood up. She was small compared to the other aliens, her skin pale blue, her eyes large and dark. But her voice was steady. "The alliance was supposed to protect all of us," she said. "But you are planning genocide. You are going to destroy an entire species and sell their survivors into slavery. That is not protection. That is evil, and I will not be part of it." She walked out of the chamber. The Hollow and Sethi delegates followed her. 3 of the 12 species had just abandoned the Council. But humanity was not. Dr. Unichoi had been working on a special project for months. Now it was ready. She called it the Silence Field. It was a device that could block all faster-than-light communication within a star system. Any system targeted by the field would be completely cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Communication is how the Council coordinates their forces, Yuna explained to the War Council. Without it, their fleets cannot work together. Their commanders cannot receive orders. Each system becomes an island, alone and confused. Taeon authorized the first test. Human ships deployed silence field generators around for Council military bases. Within hours, those bases went dark. They could not call for help. They could not warn anyone. They were alone. The Council commanders panicked. Some surrendered immediately. Others tried to fight but were quickly overwhelmed. Humanity captured 4 major bases without losing a single ship. Then came the liberation of Keth. Intelligence. Reports had revealed something terrible. Before Earth's silence began, the Council had already started moving humans to labor colonies. Over 8,000 people had been transported to the Keth system and forced to work in mines and factories. They had been told that Earth abandoned them. They had been told that no one was coming to save them. Colonel Minho Lee led the rescue mission personally. His ground forces landed on Keth under cover of darkness. They moved through the mining complex like ghosts, taking out guards without making a sound. By dawn, every human prisoner was free. Minho found a young woman named Soo-jin among the prisoners. She was barely 20 years old, thin and exhausted, with scars on her hands from the mining work. When she saw the Korean flag on Minho's uniform, she started to cry. "You came," she whispered. "You actually came." "Of course we came," Minho said gently. "We never abandon our people. Never." The freed prisoners told their stories. They described the conditions in the labor camps. The long hours. The little food. The guards who beat them for working too slowly. Humanity broadcast these testimonies to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The effect was immediate. On 4 Council homeworlds, citizens took to the streets demanding answers. How could their leaders do this? How could they treat another species so cruelly? The Council's image of benevolent rule shattered overnight. Ambassador Hannah Yoon delivered a broadcast that reached billions of beings across the galaxy. She spoke calmly and clearly, showing the Council's own classified documents. She explained their plan for Earth. She showed images from the Keith labor camps. She let the evidence speak for itself. "We did not want this war," Hannah said at the end of her broadcast. "We came to the stars hoping for friendship. We found betrayal instead. Now we fight not for conquest, but for survival. And we will not stop until our people are safe." More species began to question the Council. The Vervaini recalled their fleet from Council's service. The Moth refused to provide supplies. The great alliance that had seemed unbreakable was falling apart from within. Warlord Talvin, desperate and humiliated, attempted one last bold move. He gathered his remaining loyal ships and launched a surprise attack aimed at killing Admiral Taeyun. If he could cut off the head of the human military, perhaps the body would fall. His strike force made it past the outer defenses. They reached the space near the Unyielding. For a moment, it seemed like the plan might work. Then Captain Jin Wukong arrived with the rapid response fleet. The battle was short and brutal. Ginwu's ships tore through Talvin's strike force with ruthless efficiency. Within an hour, every attacking vessel was destroyed or disabled. Talvin himself was captured alive, his flagship drifting powerless in space. They brought him before Admiral Taeon in chains. The great warlord of the hegemony, conqueror of a dozen worlds, stood defeated before a human. "You have lost," Taeon said simply. "Your fleet is broken. Your alliance is crumbling. And your council has no one left to blame but themselves." Talvin said nothing. There was nothing left to say. Chancellor Vorik called for a full military mobilization. He demanded that every species send every ship to crush humanity once and for all. Only 6 species answered. The other 5 refused. The Galactic Council, the most powerful alliance in known space, could barely gather half its strength, and humanity kept coming. The human fleet arrived at Nexera Prime on a cold morning by station time. 3,000 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel and formed a perfect sphere around the ancient space station. Behind them came the vessels of the Nervians, the Hollow, and the Sethi, former enemies. Now standing with humanity, Chancellor Vorik watched them from the observation deck of the council chamber. His silver skin had turned gray with stress. His forehands trembled slightly. For the first time in his long life, he understood what it felt like to be powerless. "They are not attacking," Elder Orus observed quietly. He stood beside the Chancellor, his ancient eyes fixed on the human fleet. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done so already. Then what do they want?" Vorik asked. "I imagine they will tell us soon enough." A message arrived moments later. Admiral Taeon Park requested permission to come aboard Nexera Prime. He wished to address the Council directly. He would come alone, unarmed, with only Ambassador Hannah Yoon at his side. Vorik wanted to refuse. He wanted to order his remaining ships to attack. He wanted to do anything except face the humans who had broken his council. But he had no choice. The war was lost. Everyone knew it. The only question now was what would come next. "Let them come," he said wearily. Admiral Taeyoon walked through the corridors of Nexera Prime with steady steps. He remembered the stories Hannah had told him about this place. The grand halls where she had negotiated in good faith. The beautiful gardens where she had believed in a future of peace between species. The office where she had discovered the truth. 2 years of war had changed everything. But somehow, the station looked exactly the same. They entered the council chamber together. Taeyeon in his simple military uniform. Hannah in the formal dress of an Earth ambassador. They walked past the delegates of 12 species, past the guards who watched them with fear and hatred. Past the empty seats of those who had abandoned the council, they stopped before Chancellor Vorik. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavier than any weapon. Then Taeyeon began. "I am not here to negotiate," he said. His voice was calm, almost gentle, but it carried to every corner of the chamber. "Negotiation requires trust, and there is no trust left between us. You destroyed it when you voted to enslave my people. You destroyed it when you lied to our diplomats while planning our doom. You destroyed it when you put 8,000 humans in labor camps and told them they had been abandoned." He paused and looked around the room. "I am here to deliver terms. These terms are not open for discussion. You will accept them, or you will face the consequences of refusal." Vorik opened his mouth to protest, but Taeyeon continued without pause. "The Galactic Council is dissolved. This organization that has ruled through fear and deception for 10,000 years ends today. In its place, we will create a new Galactic Assembly. Every species will have equal representation. No more powerful nations controlling weak ones. No more secret votes about genocide. No more lies." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates shouted in anger. Others sat in stunned silence. Warlord Talvin, watching from his prison cell through a video feed, screamed curses that no translator could fully capture. Taeyeon waited for the noise to die down. "Second," he continued, "all labor colonies and conquered territories will be freed immediately. Every species that has been oppressed by this council will have the right to self-governance. Those who were forced into slavery will be compensated by the species that enslaved them." "This is madness," Vorik finally managed to say. "You cannot simply erase 10,000 years of order. The galaxy will fall into chaos." "Your order was built on the suffering of others," Hannah spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but firm. "That is not order. That is tyranny. And tyranny always falls eventually. We are simply speeding up the process." Elder Orus raised one wrinkled hand. Everyone turned to look at him. "May I speak?" he asked. Taeyeon nodded. The ancient alien rose slowly from his seat. He looked at the human admiral with something that might have been respect. "When we first discovered humanity," Orus said, "I told the council that we should be careful. I said that any species capable of surviving on such a harsh world must have strength we could not see. I was ignored. Chancellor Vorik said humans were primitive. Warlord Talvin said they were weak. They were both wrong." Turned to face his fellow council members. "We've been wrong about many things. We thought our power made us right. We thought our technology made us superior. We thought we could take whatever we wanted because no one could stop us. Humanity has proven otherwise. Perhaps it is time we learned something from them." He turned back to Taeyeon. "I accept your terms, Admiral." Not because I have no choice, but because I believe you offer something better than what we had. I only hope your species can avoid the mistakes we made. One by one, other delegates began to speak. Some accepted the terms willingly. Others accepted because they had no other option. By the end of the day, every remaining member of the council had agreed to the dissolution. Colonel Minho Lee's ground forces peacefully occupied. Nexera Prime, there was no fighting. The council security forces put down their weapons without being asked. They had seen enough war in the weeks that followed. Delegate Mirith worked alongside Ambassador Hannah to draft the charter for the new Galactic Assembly. It was not easy. There were arguments about representation, about resources, about how to handle the species that had committed the worst crimes, but they kept talking. They kept working. And slowly, something new began to take shape. Dr. Yuna Choi proposed a technology-sharing initiative. All species would contribute their knowledge to a common database. No one would have an unfair advantage. No one would be able to build weapons that others could not defend against. The initiative was approved by unanimous vote. 1 year later, Admiral Taeyun stood on the observation deck of Nagira Prime, watching a fleet of ships depart for unexplored space. Human vessels flew alongside Nervian cruisers and Sethi scouts. At the head of the formation was a new flagship, commanded by Captain Jinwoo Konga. Hannah joined him at the viewport. "The first joint exploration mission," she said. "Who would have thought this was possible 2 years ago?" Taeyeon smiled slightly. It was a rare expression on his weathered face. "At me. I was too busy preparing for war." "Do you regret any of it?" Hannah asked. "Refusing to negotiate, I mean. All the battles, all the death. Was it worth it?" Taeyeon was silent for a long moment. He watched the fleet grow smaller and smaller until it finally vanished into faster-than-light travel. "I regret that it was necessary," he said finally. "I regret that we could not find another way. But I will never regret protecting our people. And I will never regret showing the galaxy that humanity will not be ignored, will not be enslaved, and will not be destroyed." He turned to face her. "We did not start this fight, Hannah. We only finished it. And we finished it in a way that ensures no other species will ever have to go through what we went through. That is worth everything." Hannah nodded slowly. She thought about the young woman she had been, standing in this very station, believing in a dream of peace that turned out to be a lie. That woman had been naive, but she had not been wrong. Peace was possible. It just had to be built on truth instead of deception. On the bridge of his new ship, Jin Wukong looked out at the stars ahead. Unknown space. Unexplored worlds. Possibilities that no one had ever imagined. Behind him, his mixed crew of humans and aliens worked together in harmony. They had been enemies once. Now they were something else. Something better. "Set course for the first survey point," Jinwoo ordered. "Let us see what is out there." The ship leaped forward into the unknown, carrying with it the hopes of a galaxy that had finally learned a simple truth: humanity would never stop reaching for the stars, and now they would not have to reach alone.